Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the March 6, 2012 meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. It's my privilege to call this meeting to order. There are copies, or at least there were copies of our agenda on either side of the room, so if you'd like to pick one up and follow along with us tonight, there will be multiple opportunities for public comment, both on items that are on our agenda tonight, as well as items that are not, and there's a segment for comments and questions of a general nature, and we'll be announcing that shortly. It is customary for us to begin our meeting by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, but before everyone gets up and joins us, we are privileged to have with us tonight probably the greatest outpouring of Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, etc. That we've ever had. And of course, one reason for that is that I'll be reading a proclamation later tonight celebrating the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts of the USA, but we also have a number of Boy Scouts here with us tonight. So what I'd like to do at this point in time is invite all the Scouts who are in the audience tonight that would like to please come up front, right up in front here, and you're going to lead us in the pledge. And everyone else, when they get up here, I'd ask that you please rise and join us in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So watch out for the wires there, girls.
Flag is back here.
You guys might want to scoot down a little bit because, we got to make sure all the folks at home can see you. Make room for everyone. Scoot on down. Thanks for coming here tonight. All right, the flag's behind you, so we're all going to turn around, and you guys are going to lead us in the pledge. So, after you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, if you guys want to linger a moment for a photo, that's fine. All right, thank you very much. And before you all sit down, maybe you can tell us what packs are here tonight. Any of the troop leaders or any of the scouts want to let us know?
Lamont, Troop 149, Boy Scouts.
Welcome, Lamont, 141.
And 149, and Junior Girl Scout Troop 57 from Center Cass School District, Downers Grove area.
You want to step up and repeat that at the microphone? I know I promised I wouldn't call on people, but folks at home aren't going to be able to hear you. And please give us your name and address.
Angela Schoberly, 8232 Cromwell, and I'm here to represent Girl Scout Troop 527, which is Center Cass School District, Downers Grove, and Darien.
Welcome. Thanks for being here tonight. Any other troops who want to let us know who's here tonight? Because to get those badges, you actually have to prove that you were here, so we're going to put it on the record.
Cheryl Velk, the address is 5753 Webster Street. I'm with Troop 50806 out of Fairmount School.
Welcome. Thank you for being here tonight. Any other troops want to identify themselves?
I'm Ann Munez from 5617 Pershing Avenue. I have two troops, Junior Troop 51394 and a Brownie Troop 50171 from Indian Trail Elementary.
Thank you very much and welcome. And I know everyone's here to get their civic badges, so let's give them all a round of applause for... I was going to say, give them a round of applause for being good scouts. All right, with that, we need to take a roll call, so I'll ask our fine village clerk to please call the roll.
Commissioner Rankin?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Here.
Commissioner Durkin?
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner Schnell?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Here. Thank you very much. That brings us to item 3 on our agenda tonight, which is pertaining to minutes of prior council meetings. And we have one set of minutes on tonight's agenda. Those are our council meeting minutes from February 21st, 2012. Are there any changes or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none. Motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Those minutes are approved unanimously. And at this juncture, what I'd like to do is read the proclamation that I highlighted earlier, and that is with respect to the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts of the United States of America. Whereas Monday, March 12th marks the 100th anniversary of the Girl Scouts of the USA, founded by Juliette Gordon Low in 1912 in Savannah, Georgia. And whereas since this first meeting, more than 50 million girls have participated in the Girl Scout movement during their childhood. And whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouting has inspired millions of girls and women with the highest ideals of character, conduct, patriotism, and community service. And whereas through Girl Scouting, girls grow strong, gain self-confidence, and skills for success, and learn their duty to the world around them. And whereas Girl Scouts is the largest, longest running, and most effective leadership program for girls in the nation and the world, now therefore I, Martin T. Tully, Mayor of the Village of Downers Grove, do hereby proclaim March 12, 2012 as the 100th anniversary of Girl Scouts of the USA in the Village of Downers Grove, dated this 6th day of March 2012 at Downers Grove. And we're going to have Ms. Vilk come up as a representative and accept this proclamation, on behalf of the Scouts. That's all right, I'll come down to you. You know how it is, we have to keep everything on TV. That's right here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. And again, I think I speak not only for myself, but my colleagues in the entire village when I say that we really appreciate all the community service that Scouts of all ilks dedicate to our community all the time. It's really a wonderful thing to see, and especially when they achieve the highest pinnacle of the Scouting experience. Our community benefits from all the day, and you're really raising future leaders here. So congratulations, and good luck to you in continuing to earn those badges, and thanks for being here tonight. All right, that then brings us to item 4 on our agenda tonight. This is the section for public comments on a general nature. These are general comments or questions on matters that are not appearing on tonight's agenda. And we're going to start with Mr. Casa, who's got some news for us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mayor Tully and Commissioners, good evening. As I mentioned at the last council meeting...
Mr. Casa, some people in this audience might not be familiar with who you are. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Thank you. Michael Casa, and the president of the Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation. As I mentioned at the last council meeting, I would like to use public forum when we have good news to report or update on projects. I'd like to do that again tonight. In 2011, State Farm announced that they were going to be consolidating their Arlington Heights, Tinley Park, Rockford, and Elmhurst offices into the Chicago West Operations Center here in Downers Grove. More than 550 jobs were transferred into Downers Grove in 2011. That's their facility at 1400 Opus Place, which is just off of Findlay, south of Butterfield. It is the second largest facility that State Farm has in the state of Illinois, second only to their corporate headquarters in Bloomington. I'm pleased to announce that an additional 25 jobs will be added this month. The Downers Grove Economic Development Corporation and Shoes to Page both assisted State Farm in this process. The DGEDC prepared 25 customized packets for each of the employees that are being transferred this month to Downers Grove. Many of them will be looking to purchase homes in our community. The Operations Center in Downers Grove will now have more than 600 employees, again making it their second largest facility in the state, and we certainly welcome them to our community. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from the council for Mr. Casa with respect to that good news? And it is good news.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Oh, by the way, for those folks who might be here tonight with respect to the item that had been on the agenda with respect to the proposed Walgreens at 63rd and Woodward, that item is being, at the request of the petitioner, has been postponed until April 3rd. So just didn't want anybody hanging around if they wanted to go with respect to that item. That was at the request of the petitioner, and as a courtesy, we typically grant those requests. They've asked to bring it off the table tonight for discussion and bring it forward again on April 3rd. Even as it was previously on the agenda, it was not on tonight's meeting itinerary for a vote anyway. It was for continued discussion because of changes to the project, but it will be back on April 3rd. So I just want to make sure that, and obviously some folks actually took me up on my invitation and left the chambers.
I have a question.
Actually, on that item, sir? On that item, sir?
Yes, on the Walgreens issue.
Oh, no, don't worry. I'm not saying that you can't comment now. I just wanted to let those folks who might not want to speak but wanted to either speak later or wanted to hear what would be happening, just let them know we weren't going to be discussing the item tonight. But at this segment, you're more than welcome to comment on that or anything else within reason.
Thank you.
Oh, no worries. For those of you at home that may not have heard that, there was a question as to whether or not there could still be questions or comments about that item. Since it's not on the agenda, it would be under items of a general nature. So back to our regularly scheduled program. Actually, I see Ms. Crawford from the Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce. Good evening.
Thank you for that introduction. My name is Laura Crawford, and I'm here representing the best chamber in the state of Illinois, the Downers Grove Area Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I wanted to give the council a report on our recent Springfield trip. Over the last 4 years, the Downers Grove Chamber has hosted close to 100 business people for a day at the state capitol. We meet with legislators, host a reception that all elected officials and department heads are invited, and end the evening with a private dinner, area senators and representatives joining us. This year, we are very, very pleased to have with us Councilman Barnett, Village Manager Fieldman, and EDC President Michael Casa, and about a dozen other chamber members. Educate, Enlighten, and Elect was this year's theme, and it was planned around the budget address. Our members dominated the House Gallery, witnessing the governor's rendezvous to reality. The governor talked of economic growth and job creation, but offered a little in the way of concrete ideas on how to implement a plan to achieve these goals. He had the Civic Federation report in hand, and the deficit was acknowledged. Pension and Medicaid easily identified as the culprits and definitely the focus of the 97th General Assembly. We started the day in a meeting with the Vice President of Government Affairs of the Illinois Chamber, speaking to pensions, obviously a main concern for all those in the state of Illinois and specifically in this village. And I know this is not news to you, but to summarize the status, the state faces an $85 billion unfunded liability to pension systems, and that's just the start of the obligation. But I won't bore you with all those numbers. We discussed the much talked about effort to reform, quote unquote, pension. This idea was to put the pension on the burden of the teachers' pension, specifically on the local school boards. The thought process is that since the state does not get involved in the salary negotiations with the teachers, those who elect the school boards, all of us, should pay the obligation. And I think it's very, very important to note that the Chicago public school systems do not participate in the state's pension plan. I think that's key. The Illinois Chamber is coordinating an all-chamber effort to address the entire pension system in an effort to prevent the teacher's pension from being singled out. Your chamber will participate in these efforts and will be back down in Springfield on April 17th, along with hundreds of other interested parties. On Medicaid, our local representative, Patty Bellock, was identified as a budgeteer of the bipartisan committee appointed by the governor. They jointly tagged $2.7 billion that could be removed on that budget. You can imagine the enormity of that task. Just like stormwater management, this program is largely mandated with federal, or managed with federal mandates. Throughout our visit to both sides of the aisle, a disdain for the state's current situation was apparent. The biggest surprise, however, was how very, very verbal both parties were in expressing their disappointment and frustration at the lack of a plan. It is our hope that this dismal situation will force both parties to work together to save the future of Illinois. By the numbers, real quickly, we had 13 Downers Grove representatives travel to Springfield. That was actually our smallest group, and it was intentional because half the Capitol is under construction. I did not ask who was doing the job. In the one day that we were at the Capitol, we had 7 meetings visiting both sides of the aisle. 38 people attended our reception, and we hosted a bipartisan dinner of 26. And I think any of those in attendance would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. I do want to thank you for your sponsorship for that event.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. We appreciate you and the rest of the chamber representing our village and our businesses so well. And I want to give an opportunity to Commissioner Barnett to comment on any of the aspects of the trip, as well as Manager Fieldman. I want to thank both of you on behalf of the entire council for making the trip down there. I think many of us will have various opportunities to get down there. I've got one opportunity coming up soon, and I think these continued hits, if you will, are the only way to really drive the nail home. So please, if you'd like to add, be my guest.
Well, I think Laura captured it very well. We at Downers Grove believe in fiscal responsibility and sustainability, and we've proven that with our long-range financial plan. So we were there commenting not only on what we'd like to see from the state, which is sustainability, but we were there in a position from experience, and we shared our stories of the successes that have worked for us. So it was a great opportunity.
Thank you. Commissioner Barnett?
Just a couple things to add. You start by thanking all the members that went down. That's, I'm a small business person too, and that's a big chunk of time to take, and I really appreciate everybody doing that. And we've heard it here, we've heard it locally, and we've certainly heard it in Springfield over and over. Elected officials want to hear from people. They hear from PACs, they hear from lobbying groups, they like to hear from real people, because that doesn't happen that often. So I think when our chamber takes real business people and real residents down there, it's a way more of an impact than floating a bunch of letters. So I'd encourage everybody personally to contact your legislators too. The one thing that we're going to have to be wary of and constantly cautious to is this problem that we all know and we all describe in different terms is not going away, and it's huge. And the net result is almost certainly going to be some effort to put those costs back down on local municipalities, whether they're regional superintendents that we just went through, or the issue about teacher pensions that the governor was floating. There's no way out of this thing in Springfield that doesn't, in my mind, doesn't end up putting an additional burden on local municipalities. And so we just need to take from that, we certainly have to continue to, as the mayor says, hit on folks in Springfield to get a solution. But I think we need to keep in the back of our minds as we make decisions, whether it's long-range financial planning or budgeting, that we're going to get costs pushed down our throats almost certainly. So it's disappointing, and certainly it's decades of bad management that's gotten us here, but it's going to come to us. I don't see any way around it, so we need to be words to that all the time.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking the time to go down there and represent us so capably. We'll obviously be talking before this happens, but at the end of the month, as part of a contingency of from DuPage mayors and managers, I'll be headed down there, so I'd be happy to pick up the message and continue to carry the flag down there, because I think it is important, as you say, to have people standing in their offices talking to the representatives. Emails and letters are great, but it's hard to escape somebody standing in your doorway. So we'll pick up on that message and continue to drive it home. Thank you. And now, back to general comments. We appreciate your patience, folks. Thank you for standing over there. Good evening, sir. Our custom is, of course, to please share with us your name and address, and we'd welcome to hear from you.
Absolutely. David Olson, 5601 Dunham Road, Downers Grove. I was here last meeting, made a comment about an issue with the traffic light at Woodward Avenue and Prentice Drive. I want to thank the village staff for their quick follow-up on that issue. They had a contractor go out and look at the stoplight. And in fact, there was a malfunction going on with the one of the sensors in the east-west direction. So working on fixing that. And I just wanted to bring that to the council's attention and the attention of the members of the general public, that was able to bring this concern, asked a question. The mayor directed me towards village staff, and they responded very quickly. And were just extremely helpful throughout this whole process, despite it being a relatively minor issue. I just want to thank the village. They really are serving the residents, and I do appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Olson. Appreciate you bringing it to our attention, and thank you for coming back to share that compliment on your experience. That's nice. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Liz Chaplin, and I live at 5623 Pershing Avenue, Downers Grove. As you know, myself and my neighbors have been in attendance at various council meetings to express our concerns with regard to the proposed Walgreens at the corner of 63rd Street and Woodward Avenue. Tonight you will hear from many of my neighbors. When you're listening to them, I would ask that you please keep in mind their comments and how they relate to the village's comprehensive plan. As stated numerous times before, the village recently adopted this comprehensive plan. The plan was authored by experts in the field. The plan took much time, thought, and taxpayer dollars. The comprehensive plan has several classifications for commercial use: neighborhood commercial, downtown mixed use, and low intensity office. As you know, the corner of 63rd and Woodward's land use classification is low intensity office. Walgreens does not belong on that corner. In 2007 and 2008, the village was petitioned for a Starbucks at the corner of 63rd and Leonard. 63rd and Leonard and 63rd and Woodward have many of the same characteristics. The major difference is that 63rd and Leonard is incorporated while 63rd and Woodward is unincorporated. But other than that, these areas are almost identical. These areas are both corner properties. To the south of them is commercial. To the north is residential properties and residential streets. The residents in 2007 and 2008 shared the same concerns as myself and my neighbors are expressing tonight and have we expressed before. The Plan Commission in 2007 unanimously denied the petitioner's request to build the Starbucks on the corner of 63rd and Leonard. The Plan Commission expressed concerns that a Starbucks at that corner would alter the characteristics of that neighborhood. The Plan Commission has been consistent in their judgment of projects such as these, because they also denied by a 7-to-1 vote the Walgreens at the corner of 63rd and Woodward Avenue for not complying with the comprehensive plan and that it would alter the characteristic of our neighborhood. Also back in 2008, reviewing the material in the packet, I read a statement from then Mayor Sandak regarding comprehensive plan, and he had stated that the comprehensive plan is a bedrock legal document upon which planning develops. The village has not had one since the 1960s. Staff has initiated the process for a comprehensive plan, and the village will move ahead on that. Also back in that same time frame, I'm going to take a quote from then Commissioner Tully, who is now our mayor. And it was with regards to the Starbucks, and you were stating that this is a classic example of why the village needs to have a comprehensive plan. The future land use map shows this area as residential, yet that doesn't mean someone can't come before the council and request a change. That is what the petitioner is doing. Even if something is prohibited, a change can be requested. With the comprehensive plan, everyone, including residents and future developers, could look at that plan and see what is intended for a specific area. So with that last sentence, everyone, including residents and future developers, can look at the plan and see what is intended for a specific area. I would encourage you all, again, to look at the comprehensive plan. It clearly states the corner of 63rd and Woodward is low-intensity office. Walgreens does not fit the low-intensity office use. So I would expect nothing other than a denial when this comes before the board, be it in April, May, June, July, 2012, 13, 14, whenever it comes before the board. I would hope that it would be denied based on that. So thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here. Good evening, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm going to be brief. Try to be brief.
Would you mind sharing your name and address with us, sir?
Yes, my name is Ricardo Castaneda, and I live at 6208 Woodward.
Thank you. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, all of us know that you and your staff have many duties, and I respect that. We are aware that you have seen many of us come before you time after time. This will be my third time here. I'm getting familiar where everything is. And we are aware that all of us are trying to express our feelings about what's happening on the street of Woodward. I'm one of the ones that's more affected for this project that wants to come into our neighborhood. I live right in the middle of the street, and I see every day more cars are coming through there, which is normal because everybody's taking the underground passage from Belmont and the metro station. Everybody's looking for shortcuts. But I think you've heard all of our neighbors, our residents from that area. We see it that it doesn't fit. We see the problems that are going to happen. We have problems now that are along the line is going to affect us. The last time I was here, I talked about necessities. A necessity is something that when somebody needs it, you have to give it to them and you have to fix it. If they don't have it, then give it to them. If you, Mr. Mayor, and your staff, your commissioners were involved in bringing forward the recreational center on Belmont, all of you deserve kudos. It's a fantastic project, and I applaud it. We need that kind of necessity, something for the community, something for the neighborhood, something for the children, for the senior citizens. If you and your staff were involved in the Belmont underpass, I also congratulate all of you, or whoever took part in making that come true. That's a great necessity. Thanks to that, nobody will be late for work in the morning.
I somehow managed to anyway, but we'll take some credit for the Belmont underpass, but with respect to the rec center, we'll pass along those compliments to the Park District.
I think where everything is due, we should acknowledge what you and your staff are up against, and these decisions are hard. I understand they're hard. Sometimes, as a parent, we make hard decisions for our kids, but I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor, and your commissioners, to not let this project go through. My neighbors and myself, we feel that somebody has to protect our privacy. We see this as an invasion of our privacy. We don't make the type of money that Walgreens makes, and they can move mountains. Yes, we're here protesting. That's the only thing that we can do. Legally, democratically, we have to protest. And I'm asking you personally, Mr. Mayor, think of our privacy and protect it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here tonight. Good evening, ma'am. Welcome back.
Thank you. You remember me, huh? My name is Patty Gruber, and I live at 6216 Pershing. And tonight I would like to present to Council for your review and record the latest signatures from our written petition. And as of this afternoon, we had 470 signatures. I also would like to present to Council the latest names and comments from our online petition. As of yesterday afternoon, we had 193 names. I would like to add that our petition against Walgreens is not unique. If you search neighborhood protests against Walgreens on the internet, you will find article after article of neighborhoods across the state as well as across the country petitioning their village to reject similar proposals. Walgreens and other box stores are threatening the dynamics of neighborhoods under the guise of progress and necessity. But this is neither progress nor necessity. Progress is paving roads, installing streetlights, connecting to clean water when your wells have been contaminated, building schools and parks and recreational areas for the community. All of these things make your community safer and more desirable. Building the 12th Walgreens within miles of this area, 4 miles of this area, is not progress or necessity. If Walgreens doesn't build here, the community doesn't suffer. A few weeks ago, I asked Council to not sell out our neighborhood for some tax revenue. I also attended coffee with the mayor and council, and a fellow neighbor mentioned that money might be a motivation. We were reassured that day by council that if this were about money, it would have been approved weeks ago. I also heard a couple weeks ago on February 21st at the council meeting but the state of the village is sound, with a budget amendment balance in excess of $16.7 million. So being a bit naive and gullible, or just plain trustworthy, I want to believe that the village is not motivated by economic opportunity when it comes to Walgreens' proposal. In closing, I have also heard from council that you can't tell a business where to build their store, just like you can't tell me or anyone else where to build our home. But you can tell Walgreens where they can't build. And I'm asking that you do just that when it comes time to vote on this matter. I ask that you follow the comprehensive future land plan. I've heard it's just a guide, but you spent years and thousands of dollars to have it drawn up by experts in the field of planning and development. I ask that you follow the advisement of your own planning commission, who voted almost unanimously, 7-1, to reject Walgreens' proposal because it doesn't fit the area. And finally, that you listen to the sentiment of hundreds of people who have voiced their concerns over the last 5 weeks, either in person or through our petition. I ask tonight that when you do vote on this Walgreens proposal, that you deny their request to build at 63rd and Woodward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gruber. And
Did you want these internet?
Oh, please. Yes, thank you, by all means. Just one quick comment on that, and obviously we're not going to be voting on this tonight or even discussing it tonight, but as was indicated when Mr. Casa shared his good news about bringing businesses to town, obviously economic development is a very high priority of this town. It should be a high priority for all residents because those revenue streams can supplement property taxes and help keep those down. So yes, economic development is very important. We want to encourage that, and we do want to create an environment that attracts businesses, because if everybody who opposed to Walgreens was successful, we wouldn't have any Walgreens.
I do understand.
And obviously, they have to go somewhere, and you're right. We try to create an environment that facilitates good economic development. Yes, we try to lay out rules about what should go where and what it ought to look like, and respecting property rights, of course, because you have a right to construct your home as long as it's within the framework that's allowed. And obviously, what we're all struggling with, as the residents are does this fit within that framework or not, or are there changes that can be made that would make it fit? This isn't something that the village is building. This is something that a petitioner, a property owner, has come to us seeking fair treatment just like any other property owner. And obviously, we're doing the best we can to try to take into account all the various issues. And I think you said it yourself, if this was something that was just going to be jammed right through, this wouldn't have been the second or third time that it's been postponed, because people are in good faith actually looking at it very closely. So
And
your comments are greatly appreciated, but I did have to make that point about, obviously, economic development is a big priority, not at all costs, but it is a priority.
And I do understand that. However, you're still going to be getting revenue from the Walgreens that exists on 63rd and Belmont. They still have a 2-year lease there, and I'm sure within 2 years, this Walgreens could find a better fit, one that would be conducive to them and also residents.
Sure. But all I'm trying to point out is that's a factor, it's not the factor.
Mm-hmm. And, I lost my train of thought, but okay, thank you.
My plan worked. I derailed it. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Good to see you again. Appreciate all your comments and for sharing that information with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. I've seen you twice in one day.
Yes, this is twice today, and I'm on more than 2 cups of coffee.
In 2 different places.
In 2 different places, but it's not working.
Good.
My name is Michelle Shelley. I'm at 62.
Welcome.
15, what?
Welcome.
Oh, hi. 6215 Pershing Avenue in Downers Grove. Before I get started on the stuff I have, I went online to find, it kind of bothered me about the traffic report that there wasn't any weather. So I went on and I found it, and it does say that there was rain. It said rain and or melting snow during the day, and it gives how much snow we had and the wind. So I didn't know if you wanted. It would explain why people weren't out walking around and, walking to school. And how much snow did we have?
What is that reference?
1.20 inches of snow, and then if it's melting. So I got that for you. It just seemed weird.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Then this morning, do you have the snow report that I said this morning? I mean, I'll say the number and everything, but I didn't know if you guys had the Kane DuPage Soil and Water Conservation District, LUP, report number 11-048, if you guys have gotten that yet. No?
I don't think my colleagues have had the benefit of it yet. You're referring
Well, I
to
didn't
a
know if you-
report, yes. Well, I
Yes.
hadn't had the chance to share it with them yet, but it was
Okay.
something you
Well,
shared with the
I didn't know
DuPage County
if you-
Stormwater Committee this morning. But feel free to share it, although, only because I heard it once, if you could try to fit it into 5 minutes, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Was it longer than 5 minutes? I tried to.
It was very engaging and informative, though, so
Okay.
I'm not being critical.
Okay, well, we'll start out with the stormwater, and this is taken directly from the report. The proposed removal of vegetation, compaction of soil, in addition of impervious surfaces, rooftops and roadways, etc., will greatly increase the amount of stormwater runoff generated on this site. We strongly recommend the use of the on-site stormwater management. All additional runoff should be retained on an on-site detention ponds and released at a rate that approximates natural, undisturbed runoff conditions. The SWCD encourages the use of .10 CFS. Now, I was told that the report that you had, that they gave you, was not right, which doesn't make any sense if they put it in your packet. The Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago, because they have the runoff at 1.01, which is 1,000 times the amount. But I was told this morning that that wasn't accurate, so I don't know why they would put it in there and not say, example on it, that it wasn't what you were, real numbers. So I don't know what to make about that. Also, their idea for small commercial buildings are structures that are less than 3 stories high and do not have basements. A foundation is assumed to consist of spread footings of reinforced concrete built on undisturbed soil at the depth of 2 feet or at the depth of maximum frost penetration, which is ever deeper. Now, this is what they said that they're using. So I know what a basement is, and you can go in it, but this is supposed to be under the building, right? So how is it going to be undisturbed soil if this is underneath the building? So that was my question there. And then they have the very limited soil indicates that the soil has one or more features that are unfavorable to the specific use. The limitations generally cannot be overcome without major soil reclamation, specially designed or expensive installation procedures. Poor performance and high maintenance can be expected. They also want to make sure that you keep as many woodlands as you can. That would be on page 10, and it says the SWCD encourages preserving as much of the wooded character of this site as possible. Long-term preservation of the trees will require taking certain precautions during and after construction. And now, for the soil. They have, the soil is very limiting, and it says there's a definition for it too. The site contains the following concerns: 1, soil limitations; 2, soil erosion; 3, sediment control; 4, stormwater management. Based on the information in this report, it is the opinion of the Kane County DuPage Soil Water Conservation District Board that this site is not suited, and they have it in red, for the proposed use unless, which is in black bold, the previous mentioned concerns are addressed. Now, there's a stream, Prentice, which isn't, it's like what, a quarter mile away, and we also have unnamed wetlands, which are in and around 330 feet from the proposed site. I just want to make sure that I have everything. Oh, and the soil in the area is classified as 854B, which has a low soil strength and is also has severe frost leave limitations for roads and foundations. That would be it. Oh, and I know that it's not a floodplain. It's listed that it isn't, but we have a very high water table, and it does say that any indication of flooding potential can be found in the soil information. So they're saying this function includes the temporary storage and slow release of floodwaters. The disturbance could adversely affect other properties in the watershed. And we went ahead, these were pictures taken of the properties when I'm talking about the unnamed flood. These were taken a few days ago. And then I took some myself, which you can have, which were taken on the 12th of December. And you can see how much, well, you can look, water is there. And we ask that when you vote on this, whenever it may be, that you deny without prejudice. Thanks.
Thank you for your comments, and thank you for sharing that information. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor. How are you doing tonight?
Splendid, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Don Weiss. I live at 7050 Newport Drive in Woodridge. I am the son of Helen Weiss, the owner of the property at 6298 Woodward Avenue. Now, I understand, Mayor, that you work for a law firm in litigation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right, then I would ask, out of courtesy, that this board take this matter off call indefinitely in respect to the litigation I have in the Circuit Court of DuPage County. It has been filed. There is a set process. If you would pass it over to the mayor, the mayor, the rest of this board members. It's been filed. There is a court date set. There are several state agencies questioning things. They are speaking up. They are investigating matters and interviewing people at present. So I'm asking, courtesy of the mayor of Downers Grove, along with every person sitting up there, put yourself in my shoes. If this was your mother that was being ripped off, being financially exploited, what would you do? I'm asking for the courtesy that you would expect to be given to you, as you are now, to put this matter off call or deny it without prejudice until my litigation is over. I will be more than glad to inform the mayor as far as where it ends. It is scheduled for May 14th at 1:30 in the afternoon, and my mother is still not been declared incompetent. The package that you're receiving there is a due process by the state law, and the forms are also included in there for DuPage County. Now, there is no bypassing the law. There is no way of getting around it, and there's a lot of questions. So I am asking, Mr. Mayor, City Council, take it off call indefinitely until my litigation is resolved in a court of law.
Well, thank you for sharing that concern, sir. I know you've explained to us before that there may be a legal matter that might have some bearing on this. And of course, we're not involved in that dispute.
I fully understand that. But
there's a court, excuse me, sir, there's a court of law that's dealing with the issue, and all we're doing is responding to a request from a petitioner according to our own rules. If some outside body were to direct the petitioner to act other than the way they're acting, that would be a different story. But we're not a court of law to sit in judgment with respect to your dispute.
But if I can inject one thing, I've been told by the village that the village attorney checked into this matter and everything is legal. Now, there is certain facts not in the file that the village attorney cannot get access to.
Right, and nor should
you have to be a litigant. You should know this.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly.
So for your village attorney to say everything is legal is kind of putting the cart in front of the horse.
We're actually not passing judgment on one way or the other, sir.
I understand that.
Because we're not involved in it. But my point is that we have an obligation to a petitioner who comes before us according to our rules to respond according to our rules. If a court in DuPage County were to direct the participants in this land use matter to act other than they currently are, then obviously we would respect that. But we cannot sit in adjudication of those issues. That's properly the jurisdiction of the Circuit Court of DuPage County.
But all parties are not included in this mix.
I understand that, sir.
The mortgage company is not in.
I understand that, but then there are mechanisms by which those people who are involved in the dispute can address those issues, and that's the appropriate forum to address it in.
So
this is not that forum.
You cannot put this matter off call out of respect to the litigation that you yourself conduct.
Well, first of all, we're not conducting litigation.
No,
all
you
we
do
is
that for a living.
What we do is when we get a request from a petitioner, whether it's somebody who wants to rezone property or someone wants to build a shed in their backyard or someone wants to consolidate a lot with their neighbor, we have a set of rules and we respond to requests from those petitioners in accordance with our rules and our procedures, and we need to respect that process, and we need to respect those individuals who expect us to timely respond to the requests on how to use their property according to our rules.
Right.
We will operate within that framework. If there is a matter that is in litigation in the Circuit Court of DuPage County, and there are issues that that forum is going to adjudicate, it has the ability to control the parties involved in that litigation, and if those parties are also before us, then obviously they would be affected. So what I'm saying is, it sounds to me like those are issues that should be and need to be and probably have to be dealt with in that forum, and it sounds to me like there's a live piece of litigation, which is all the more reason why we need to respect that process.
Well, then that's all I'm asking for. Put this
Well,
off
we
past
will.
April.
We will if
Put
there's...
it off into May.
Well, right now, there's nothing for us to consider because the petitioner has requested to continue this matter until April 3rd. So right now, there's nothing for us to do.
So can I ask you one further question? If the developers are here, they make a request, they're granted. The people are sitting here objecting to the project.
No
make
request.
a request, we're denied.
Well, no request has been granted.
I just made a request that this
You
matter
asked
be
me to
put off until the end of May.
Sir, you asked me to take something off an agenda that's not on the agenda.
Take it
There's
off
nothing.
now.
There's nothing. I can't take something off what's not before me.
All right, I can see that this is going to be a push-through matter, and I'm going to push on the courts to expedite a sooner court date to get a court order blocking this. Because the court is, or this council right here, if it pushes it through, you are guilty of financial exploitation of a senior. Because the facts are out there. Your village attorney has seen the facts. They have checked the file. The developers are fully aware of what's going on.
Sir, we understand the issue.
Fine.
And I would encourage you to take it up with the court that's overseeing the matter.
I intend to do it. Thank you.
And obviously, we'll respect the direction of the court to the extent that it impacts this matter. Thank you for being here tonight. Welcome.
Can I just, not him, the woman before, what are the numbers of the property where those pictures were taken? Because there's no numbers on this.
Oh, one moment, sir.
Sure.
The photos that we were given of the flooded areas, where were those taken from?
Do you have addresses that you could give to?
6208 Woodward.
Thank you.
The one that says from Target, the little ones, those were taken from 6215 Pershing.
6215 Pershing for those who can't hear.
Towards Woodward.
Oh, should I?
Yeah. Towards Woodward?
The
Make them-
house is mine.
Okay, that doesn't help me, so go ahead.
I was on my own property. The one that's very blurry is from the porch, and it was at 6215 Pershing Avenue, and I was facing north, so
Okay.
northeast, if you
Okay.
will. And then I walked down to the bottom, so it was definitely then just north. Okay?
Thank you for that clarification.
Thanks. It just helps.
Yes, sir. Thank you for your patience. Good evening.
My name is Guy Red Bronson. I live at 5904 Downers Drive. I'm the elected precinct committeeman for Precinct 54, which runs on the east side of Woodward and along the south side of 63rd Street. I wanted to let you know I'm representing my constituents, and when I went down to tell them about this meeting tonight on Sunday, the majority of them were against the Woodward Avenue Walgreens. Other than that, that's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing that and speaking on behalf of your constituents. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Tully, commissioners, staff. I'm Gordon Goodman. I live at 5834 Middaw, and I wanted to speak briefly this evening about the boards and commissions of the village and the appointment process for them. I speak from some experience from the 1970s. I've been appearing before the Plan Commission and zoning boards of the village. And I have the greatest respect for the people that I've appeared before and who've made decisions on the matters that I have brought to them. Haven't always agreed with the decisions or with the way in which the board received comments, but yet by and large it's been a very good process for the village and very good leadership of the commissions in screening matters and providing information to the council. I served on the first group of commissioners of the Environmental Concerns Commission some time ago. And with all new commissions, there's quite a shakedown process when people get used to each other and to the role of the commissions in the community. And we were very lucky to have some very sophisticated technical people whose profession was environmental control, and we had some very generalist people, including athletic coach from the high schools, and some other generalists of a different sort, myself included. And I think that's a very important component of a commission like the Environmental Concerns Commission. It has to really have views from across the community. So I was particularly pleased when I saw that Martin Tully had put Mark Toman's name on the agenda the last meeting you held in February, and came hoping to see him appointed to that commission. But I was disappointed that there was no vote, the nomination wasn't called, and I think that Mark and other commissioners who are outspoken in the village can play a very important role in the advisory commissions, and I'm hoping that you'll find that true. In the past, people who've run for village office and had very strong views, like me, have been appointed to commissions and served the village well, I think. And I hope you'll continue that practice. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Thank you for being here tonight. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is John Schofield. I live at 1125 Jefferson Avenue. And I, too, was profoundly disappointed by the Village Council's behavior 2 weeks ago, in the way it handled that nomination for the Environment Commission. The nominee has proven himself to be energetic, effective, knowledgeable, and always well prepared. His environmental credentials are very solid, and his activities on behalf of the environment have already been well established in the village. But my comments are not about the nominee. My comments are directed to the behavior of this village council. Shamefully, considerations of personal and political power appear to have dominated over the best interests of the community. Rather than serving the community, at least one commissioner injected personal animus into the process and said so publicly, internet postings disparaging the nominee. At least two commissioners blamed undisclosed and unsubstantiated rumors from unnamed individuals. These commissioners show a shameless lack of accountability and transparency. This is like Salem, Massachusetts in 1690s, like Washington, D.C. in the 1950s. Good people harmed by malicious rumor and anonymity. 2 weeks ago, these commissioners embarrassed their fellow commissioner who screened the nominees, embarrassed the mayor who proposed the nomination, and embarrassed the nominee himself who was sitting here ready to serve. I think we know the reason. At least I think we know the reason. There's a nasty political primary going on in this town, and the contest and its nastiness have somehow invaded this village council's behavior. It shouldn't matter whether the nominee is or is not a friend of one or the other candidates, but it appears that it did matter. I'm very disappointed to say the council's behavior discourages other fine residents from volunteering their time. This narrows the pool of talent available to do village business. I am further disappointed to say the council's behavior undermines my confidence in your ability and your willingness to make good decisions for the community without machinations for personal and political power. And shame on you.
Thank you, Mr. Schofield. Appreciate your comments. Good evening, sir. I wasn't commenting on the content. I was simply commenting on people expressing themselves is always appreciated. Good evening, sir.
Hi. Ken Lerner, 4933 Whiffen Place in Downers Grove. I was very disappointed last week when I opened our Trib Local to see the headline, "Political Rivals Block Commission Appointment." And I'm sure you were disappointed too, as the article alludes to, and the previous speaker alluded to, Mr. Toman, who was the blocked commission appointment, has been active in the campaign for a particular local candidate. As it happens today, I received an email from the campaign of that candidate, and I had an opportunity to take a look at the positions expressed there and the endorsements that this candidate has received. And I have to say...
I don't mean to interrupt, Mr. Lerner, but if
Yes.
you can just at least keep your comments focused. I know this is a general matter, but if you keep it focused on the village and not things outside of the village, please.
I'll get there.
Okay, I'm giving people leeway here, but I'd like to keep us focused on the village, and so far comments have been directed to the council, and let's please keep them that way. Not individuals.
I will.
Thank you.
Let me just say, the fact that I could not disagree more with the positions that were expressed in this email is something that I can look beyond because I know Mr. Toman's qualifications and his approach and his long experience and his dedication to environmental issues. We have worked side by side on some. He has shown a tireless dedication to environmental concerns and environmental activities. And he has shown a very dedicated approach to any issues that have been discussed, whether it was stormwater management or refuse collection or tree preservation. He is the person that always comes to the table knowing what the state law says on the subject, what other communities have done, what studies have been done on the subject, and is ready to summarize them. All qualities that I think anyone would want in a member of a board or commission. And I would venture to say probably all qualities that you yourselves pride yourselves on in your approach to the issues that you face on the village council. Therefore, I would like to urge the council to appreciate that we have good people like that, well-qualified, hardworking people who are willing to donate their time to the village. And let's keep them coming by treating them always with respect and keeping the politics out of it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lerner. Good evening, welcome.
Good evening, my name is Tim Meany. I live at 420 Franklin Street. And I guess I'm not the only one who's disappointed about the council's non-decision regarding Mr. Toman's nomination to the Environmental Concerns Commission. I'm also disillusioned. Here we have someone eminently qualified to offer a very knowledgeable perspective on environmental matters, and for vague reasons or no stated reasons at all, some council members will not even let this nomination be brought to a vote. I've read in the paper that 2 council members either will not state their opinion or are not available for comment. Another council member seemed to be in a veritable tizzy of indecision because some people he's spoken to would like Mr. Toman on the commission while some others would not. As a council member who must make decisions up there on a weekly basis, it's as though confronting differences of opinion in this case is a whole new experience for him. And another council member said that her big thing, as she expressed it in the Downers Grove Reporter, is that Mr. Toman might actually be, and I quote, an advocate for environmental concerns and make it difficult for the group to reach consensus. Imagine that. Someone who might have the nerve to advocate for the environment. Someone who might state his case convincingly, as he did in helping to defeat a proposal to locate a dirty waste facility across the street from Cameo Apartments, which, by the way, is occupied, as you know, by seniors. Or is this kind of advocacy the kind of thing that this council would rather not have to deal with? This same council member stated that, quote, a commission is a representative of the council. Commissions do not represent the council. They are not intended to be a mouthpiece for the council or any particular council member. They independently advise the council with opinions arrived at through considerable research, discussion, and yes, debate. That's how consensus is arrived at, unless you prefer go along to get along. None of what I've read sounds to me like reasons. I and others are being forced to conclude that these are just flimsy excuses. And the longer this goes on, the more it appears like an effort to exclude a talented individual for reasons some council members would just rather not discuss. Frankly, it opens the whole process of appointing commission members to the suspicion that some criterion other than talent, ability, and independent thinking is at work here. I'd like to see 4 things happen. I'd like to see the mayor formally nominate Mr. Thoman. I'd like to see Commissioner Waldeck make that motion to nominate. And then I'd like to see someone on this council have the courage to second that nomination. And fourthly, I'd like to see the council take a vote. I'd like to see the council members step out of the shadows, stand up like adults, and state their case publicly to the voters. You owe at least that much to the candidate as well as to the voters. At the council meeting 2 weeks ago, I came to compliment you on what I thought at the time was a splendid opportunity for both you and the village. Tonight, I must say instead that I'm disillusioned and that I find the behavior of some of our council members simply evasive and cowardly.
Thank you, Mr. Meany. I just want to state that the lack of comments in response to any of the statements that have been made by myself or any of my colleagues should not be construed to weigh in one way or another on the content. Obviously, everybody has the right to speak within parameters with respect to the conduct of this body, and we respect that process. But I don't want anyone to take anything away from the fact that there has been no comment from anyone up here individually. I would hazard to say that I'm sure that my colleagues could choose. Myself would be happy to speak with folks after the meeting if someone would actually like to speak to them personally. I'm not going to speak for my colleagues, but I just want to make sure everyone understands that by not saying something in response to these comments, I don't think anyone's weighing in on it one way or the other. So I don't want a lack of a comment to be taken the wrong way by anyone. I think we all individually can choose to either speak to people afterwards or not, myself included. I just wanted to point that out.
I understand that. Thank you for saying that. My point, however, is that in addition to all these individual offline comments, I think it's time to bring this to the attention of the commission, to the council publicly, and go forward from there.
Oh, well, I was including myself. I'm not responding to your request at this point in time, but you know, everybody knows how to find us. We're all available, and I leave it to each individual to speak or not speak in the way that he or she chooses.
Thank you.
But thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your comments. Good evening. Welcome.
Hi, Marge Earl, 4720 Florence. I apologize in advance for my voice. I'll keep this brief. When there's a campaign going on and people are running for office, there are a different set of rules usually in place. And there are more things that are open and fair game in a public forum. But as a private citizen who is just offering to help the village, Mr. Thoman put himself out there and had asked for nothing. There's a lot of people in this village who do that and are appreciated for it. And I was embarrassed and mortified by the exchange on Facebook dragging Mr. Thoman through the mud when he did not deserve that. He's a private citizen, and you are all elected officials. This should not have been public, and I'm really embarrassed for the council, I'm embarrassed for this village, and I'm really embarrassed for Mr. Thoman, and I would appreciate if somehow you could manage to keep this from happening again. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. I've got props. My name is Dan Stanger. I live at 7229 Binder Road. That's in the southwest corner of the village, and it's where approximately 150 residents use Devereaux Road to exit out onto 75th Street. The reason I'm here is to approach the council to request their help in regards to the widening of the 75th Street road. First of all, my poor attempt at a poster. I could have used some of the scouts' help probably to put it together. This is the current configuration of 75th Street, Devereux Road, and Village Greens Golf Course. Devereux Road and Village Greens Golf Course use the same intersection crossway on the 75th Street. Currently, there are 2 lanes of traffic going in both directions, 40 miles an hour. Residences, the homes in Devereux, when they exit to make a left-hand turn onto 75th Street, as well as the golfers coming out of Village Greens making a left-hand turn, have to cross 2 lanes of traffic and a left-hand turn lane in order to complete that turn. In addition, to go to Nani's and to go to Brunswick Zone, cars cannot access it going westbound. They have to make a U-turn at this east median, however, they're able to get to those 2 locations. In addition, you've got people coming off of 75th into their homes. And again, this is the only entrance off of 75th Street into this whole subdivision. So now you've got cars making left-hand turns going into the subdivision. You've got Village Greens golfers and then visitors coming out of there making left-hand turns. You've got U-turns coming over here. You've got people riding on the shoulder off of 75th Street. Instead of using the 2 lanes, they attempt to keep traffic moving, so they go into the shoulder, make a right-hand turn there, and then go on to 75th Street off Devereux. You have to kind of right the shoulder and then speed up and get into traffic. What I recently learned, and how I learned it, is kind of upsetting to me, is that they're going to widen 75th Street in both directions by adding a 3rd lane. What they're doing is they're removing the shoulders. So my concern, of course, first of all, was the safety of improving this whole intersection. Because right now you could have up to 4 cars, and that would pretty much fill the whole gap here of the median. One making a U-turn, one making a left-hand turn here, another one making a left-hand turn here, and another one making a left-hand turn here. The whole intersection gets congested, and rush hour traffic, when the movie theaters are letting out, when the Shoney's is letting out, it's a very difficult intersection to cross. How I found out about this project was after the County of DuPage had a meeting, the Downers Grove Patch website announced that there was a meeting Wednesday night, 2 days before. Woodbridge's web page for the Patch announced the event, but Downers Grove didn't. So unfortunately, I don't subscribe to the Woodbridge Patch. I only just subscribe to the Downers Grove. So not only did I not know about this interchange being put in, or the extra lanes being put in, but nobody in my whole area knew about it. Now, there is a letter, and I passed out comments and some material to all of you before I spoke. The County of DuPage did write a letter, and it was brought in front of all of you, that they were going to invite, we were going to have this meeting, and letters were going to be mailed to the people along 75th Street and the business owners. The only people that were notified were the people on Gorman. There were 12 homes there in that little cul-de-sac right off of 75th Street, whose house is back up to 75th. Nobody else inside Devereux Road was notified. So none of us had a chance to go and express our comments. So I went ahead and spoke to Ken Cooper, the project manager at DuPage County. I also spoke to Dan Mullen, our own director of public works, and Chris Bevel, the Woodbridge Public Works director. And all of them have been very helpful in answering my questions and providing me some help. But Ken Cooper is the main guy that I'm supposed to talk to. And he informed me that right now there are no plans to improve the safety of 75th Street. There are no plans to install no left-hand turn lanes, no plans to put additional lights, no plans to put in a traffic light. And he even made a comment that there was a traffic study done in that area, and it determined that it did not, the results of that study did not permit the use of traffic signals, or did not require traffic signals. Well, that study, and I've given you all copies, was dated May 2010, and it's for a 4-lane roadway, not a 6-lane roadway. So imagine you're going to have a 3rd lane here taking up the shoulders, so now cars are going to have to come out across 3 lanes of traffic, including a left-hand turn lane, with people going into Village Green or turning around to go to Nani's and go to Brunswick Zone. You're going to have cars slowing down because that shoulder's not going to be there anymore to make a right-hand turn. So in lane 3, which I'll replace the shoulder with lane 3, if there's a car behind it, he's naturally going to zip around it and try to maybe not have to slow down so much. So if there's two cars parked, or not two cars parked, but two cars following each other, and a car wants to, try to make it across, all of a sudden, the second car may come around. I mean, it's a chance for fatal accident. And the reason I'm bringing this to your attention is I'm hoping somebody can contact the county page and ask them to reconsider the safety of this whole area. So to right now not address it, I think is a big mistake. If they are going to put up something in the future, it's going to cost more money. Let's put it in the budget now. The county can do so. I've made some suggestions. They're my emails that I've given to you. I've given you all copies of it. But to not do anything, I think, is a crime. And I hope this helps you understand what my point is. I've been there for 15 years, living in that neighborhood. Traffic along 75th has increased dramatically over the years. Village Greens is an excellent golf course. People go there and they leave all at the same time. Ashanti's is a wonderful restaurant. People leave there, banquets get let out. It's a very difficult area for anybody to navigate, and just adding a third lane of traffic, I think, is going to be a potential hazard for anybody to try to come out of that intersection. So I feel better now that you've all heard my story. I'm turning it over to Nan and anybody else who wants to take it upon themselves to contact Ken Cooper, contact Chris Bethel, and see what can be done before construction is actually in full force. I understand they're going to start construction either end of March or early April. Does anybody have any questions? I appreciate you listening.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Stanger. And of course, it is a county road. It's a county project.
Yes.
And the one thing I appreciate you sharing this with us, and certainly we can pass along these comments from our perspective of our residents. But what I would really encourage you to do is reach out to your county representatives, because they have more direct and immediate access to all things county. And I don't know, I think somebody mentioned earlier tonight that there's an election coming up. So you might want to reach out to those who are running and those who are actually on the county board, because this is actually, this is a county project.
Well, the comment that I heard from Kent Cooper was, we're no longer in the planning stages, we're in the construction stage.
Well, I have a feeling we're going to hear the exact same thing. So I'll go back to what I suggested a moment ago, is you might want to reach out to your county board representatives, because they are the ones who actually serve you on that body.
It was my impression from Chris Bethel that the county approached both villages with their plans to review this, and if these safety measures or safety concerns weren't brought up then, hindsight's 20/20, but I'm hoping that maybe the village can reconsider their initial review of the county's plans and address them one more time with Mr. Cooper and say, can you please take a second look at this? I'm just one voice for 150 people who don't know anything about this project right now. They're going to find out about it sooner or later when they realize that they can no longer turn left safely out of their homes. But I appreciate that.
Well, we'll certainly pass along the concerns expressed by our residents to the county staff members, but I'm just being frank with you. You should contact the representatives of the county board.
That's why I came here to find out, to get advice and also to ask for some help. I appreciate it.
Appreciate that, and I think just for the record, we actually had this announced before the Downers Grove patch. So we've been trying to advise people that this meeting was coming up, this project was coming up. I think that we've advised, especially the businesses along 75th Street, because this affects Downers Grove, it affects Woodridge, it affects Darien. So we've been trying to at least give people a heads up that this is coming, because it will be a summer-long project that will be of some disruption, needless to say. But I think the most immediate avenue would probably be to contact your county board representatives.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm sure I'll hear from them now that I've made that recommendation. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Good evening, sir. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Mike Sluisars. I live at 7445 Webster Street, and I too just found out about the 75th Street expansion about 3 weeks ago. We live on 75th Street. Our front window looks out onto 75th Street. It's 4 lanes now. It's pretty bearable because I have 13 trees and 66 bushes that kind of buffer me. After going to the meeting, we found out they're tearing them all out. 13 trees and 66 bushes, which we've been maintaining since we've lived there. And they really, at this point, don't have any intentions of putting anything back. They seem receptive to maybe doing some plantings, but I'm here tonight to ask your help with this. If they do what they say and do nothing, they've made our property unsellable. It's going to be a 6-lane highway in front of my house, 20 feet closer than it is now. And we just could use some help. I have pictures here of my property from the house and from 75th. I also have pictures of the ditch that I maintain because nobody does from the county. And I also drove around taking pictures of different expansions in Wheaton and Naperville where they put walls up to buffer people from 6 lanes of traffic. So I'm going to leave these pictures with you, and any help I can get, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, again, we'll be happy to share with our contacts at both DuPage County staff as well as the elected officials the concerns of our residents. But again, I would encourage you to reach out to your representatives directly because they represent you. But we will be happy to speak to them and pass along as well.
You know, that's why I came here, because they didn't seem to really want to do anything they didn't have to do to replace what they're taking out.
Right. Well, it's like, so you might want to try, and again, I'm not necessarily saying what the consequences of reaching out to them might be, but I would encourage you to at least try reaching out to your District 3 representatives, which is where this project goes, and there are 3 of them, and you might want to reach out to them and speak to them directly.
Director Newland also had spoken to this resident about the concerns. We've reached out to the county project manager, and they've agreed to come out and relook at the tree situation on the property, so we'll keep everybody up to date on that.
Right. Yeah, basically what I'm talking about is the message coming from multiple sources to multiple people can be more effective, kind of consistent with Commissioner Barnett's comment about going to Springfield.
Unfortunately, there's only really 2 houses involved that are on 75th. I mean, everything else there is businesses.
Yeah.
So.
But thank you for sharing that with us, and again, we'll be happy to pass that along at the staff level. But I think hearing directly from you, reach out to your 3 representatives in District 3. Thank you for being here tonight. Appreciate your comments.
Good evening,
sir.
Tom
Welcome.
McCran, 545 Chicago Avenue. A couple of quick comments, not on anything that came up tonight. Why don't we have more information on this electric aggregation on the village website? I grant we have the minimum requirement by the state law is to present this referendum, but you're asking people to give you a power and you're not telling them what's going on. The wording of that thing, the referendum would lead you to imply that Downers Grove is going to negotiate with somebody for lower rates, and that's not true for what we've been through. If you're a long-time council observer like I am, thank you, Ryan, you'd know that we're tinkering with an outfit in Will County to give us lower rates. But why don't we say that on the website? Why don't we tell the people out there what they're voting for? Because you're asking for a power that is unrevocable by the people later on.
Well, actually, Mr. LeCran, there's 2 pieces to it, and the referendum is only 1 piece. So the information on the website pertains to that piece. What you're talking about is if the referendum is successful, then we move to the 2nd piece, and I guarantee you there'll be more discussion about the 2nd piece if and when we get there.
True,
we're not
but
there
you
yet.
already have the power, and people
well,
can't change it.
Actually, they can, but the referendum is simply allowing the village to act at the behest of the residents on their behalf if they do not choose to opt out. So this is not binding on them in that sense.
That's a whole other question. It becomes, there ought to be an opt-in, not an opt-out.
Yes, but I mean, it is not a decision that is made. The residents who do not choose to participate can do 2 things. One, they can vote against the referendum. And if they vote in favor of it, they can still decide to opt out.
They don't have any information. They don't know what they're really voting for.
Well, maybe we can have...
There should be some explanation of what we intend to do, what we hope to do.
Hold on, I'm trying to answer your question. Give me a second. You asked me a question. Do you want some more information? I'm trying to share some with you. First of all, the information about the referendum is on the website. I know I sat here on multiple occasions when presentations were made about how the referendum works, what municipal aggregation is, what opportunities it presents, what the abilities are for people to, if they don't want to participate, they can freely choose not to. And that's just the first stage. Now,
You found that on the website?
Yes, it's on the website.
Yes.
there's a whole link on the village website about electrical aggregation.
And also, Mayor and council members and anybody listening, we are sending a direct mail piece to every residential household in the village of Downers Grove, directing them to more information. So that's coming in the next week or so.
Excellent.
But your comment raises in my mind something I'm probably going to get a look for mentioning. But given that the referendum date is still coming and we have some time before it, perhaps if we were to maybe spend 10, 15 minutes at a future meeting and just present something that was presented in the past about what aggregation is, what the referendum is and isn't, and what people are voting on to the extent that we can, because I know there are some limits of what we can do. The village attorney is looking at me, which candidly, there are state laws that when it comes to referendums, that it makes no sense. So back to Springfield. Hamper what we can and can't do about a referendum, in support or against. Believe it or not, so we're actually somewhat limited, but I think we could probably present some things that won't get us in trouble to help people understand what it is. But in a nutshell, it's a referendum that would allow the village to negotiate electrical rates that would be different than those of ComEd, and folks can then choose whether or not to participate in that. They don't have to. If they want to keep staying with ComEd or they want to stay with whoever it is out there, they have that ability to do that. It's entirely up to them. But if someone would like to participate in this program, we can't even do it in this town unless the referendum passes, which gives the village that ability to do it in the first place. Then that's step one. Step two, if the referendum passes, for those who do not opt out, you get to choose twice.
I understand the process.
Well, see, you do understand it.
Okay. I just know there's a lack of information. I have one more quick question. And it's been mentioned a couple times by a couple people tonight.
Now I'm guilty of too much
information. We talked about the long-range financial plan.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. That was rude of me. Could you please start again?
The long-range financial plan has been mentioned a couple of times tonight.
Yes.
I'd just like to point out again, which I'm sure I've done it before, is that we currently do not have an approved long-range financial plan, one that you voted on covering 2013 and beyond. There's still a gap. That has never come before a vote for the village council.
Well, let me ask you a
that
question.
doesn't stop it from being a plan because there's a gap in it.
Right. Well, let me ask you this question. Is that something we have to vote on?
It is not something we have to vote on. I believe in the three that we've done, three versions since I've been in this position, we've only voted on one of them. Regardless of whether there's a vote, there certainly has been direction given, and that's what staff's been using to prepare budgets.
Okay, that answers my question. The answer is it doesn't have to be voted on. That's probably why.
I understand that, but it should be, I think.
Fair question.
Fair.
I understand it to be a request. You would like us to vote on the next one.
Right, because there's a
Thank
gap
you.
in it that you need to cover. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for your comments. They're much appreciated. I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, at some point in time, we will actually have a meeting.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Good evening, welcome.
Mayor, fine. Frank Falish, 820 Prairie. You know, I'm also disappointed with the commission to see what they've done. They're making a political project out of a non-political job, and that's disgusting. And of course, if you get an idea. I got in the mail. I got Sandex ladies. So you look at
Mr. Falish, please. I would ask that you keep general comments limited to the activities of this body and not outside organizations or campaigns.
Okay, I also think that this limit of 250 feet for notifying people of important things is much too short. Basically, that's a 4-block area around an object. If the action takes place on one street, you go over one street, and that's 250 feet.
And are you talking about the notice requirement with respect to what project?
Into all these notices that go out to the people.
For?
Well, for various things.
Okay.
You know, that
You're
come
speaking
up.
Generally?
Generally, yeah. I think that's much too short, because for important matters, I think more people should be notified. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. At the risk of asking, are there any other questions or comments of a general nature on items not appearing on tonight's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on. That brings it. Oh, thank you.
There seems to be a block here.
Oh, sorry.
There we go. That's yours.
And obviously, everyone's comments are appreciated, and our response or non-response shouldn't be interpreted as anything other than we're listening intently. That brings us to item number 5 on our agenda, public hearings. We have no public hearing tonight, so that brings us to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
Okay, I don't have to say what it's amended for? Okay, so moved.
Second. Any questions or comments from anyone in the audience with respect to any of the items on the consent agenda tonight? Any questions or comments from any members of the council with respect to any items on the consent agenda as amended? Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor, for anticipation. I would like to address item E, the resolution authorizing the agreement of the Indian Boundary YMCA and the Downers Grove Market. I totally approve of this, and my quick comment is that they have come before us, the YMCA has come before us once before asking for a waiver because the village charges them for some of the equipment, some of the activities. And while I approve this, the market and the agreement, I would wish that we would waive not-for-profits the way the village policy for charging nonprofits for events such as these. And I'd just like to get that comment out there as we move on. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from members of the council with respect to any items on the consent agenda as amended? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin? Aye. Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Consent agenda as amended passes unanimously. We now have 2 items on our active agenda, which is item 7, and I'll take this one first.
The one, this one? Hold on, reading glasses? Yes,
Yes.
okay, I've got that.
Do I have a motion to approve a resolution regarding final plat of subdivision for 1525 Thornwood Drive as presented?
So moved.
Second. Any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to this item? Any questions or comments from any members of the council with respect to this item? Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor, once again. This was originally put on the consent agenda, and I don't want to worry the petitioners if they're here tonight. It's just that I happen to believe that items such as this with land use, things that have gone before the Planning Commission, where there was debate and recommendations from another body, I just don't believe that that type of an item belongs on a consent agenda, so I ask that it be moved to the active agenda. I know the consent agenda's the purpose is to move things right along, so I don't think there's a lot of real controversy with this item, so by moving it to the active agenda, I guess maybe we lost maybe a minute, but I just prefer to have the transparency of having these type items on an active agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. That minute seems like a drop in the bucket now, doesn't it?
Sure. Won't lose any sleep.
Any other questions or comments from any members of the council?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin? Aye. Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The matter passes unanimously. Next item on our active agenda, do I have a motion to approve an ordinance regarding an amendment to ordinance number 5166 in the Village of Downers Grove budget for fiscal year 2011 as presented?
Mayor Tully, I move to approve an ordinance providing for an amendment to the ordinance number 5166 in the Village of Downers Grove budget for fiscal year 2011 as presented.
Second. Any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to this item? Any questions or comments from any members of the council with respect to this item? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin? Aye. Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Newstead?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That matter also passes unanimously, which brings us to item 8 on our agenda, which is our first reading or our workshop portion of the meeting, where we are going to be discussing items, or items will be presented to us for discussion and will be voted on at some future date. Now, just again to repeat what I said earlier, items 8A, B, C, and D, at the request of the petitioner, have been withdrawn from this agenda and we expect will be continued for discussion and presentment, but not for a vote, on April 3rd. And those 4 items, A, B, C, and D, under item 8 of our agenda, all relate to the proposed Walgreens at 63rd and Woodward. And I think there's another item.
And in keeping with that trend, Mayor, let's add item 8E to the list of items that won't be presented tonight. This is an intergovernmental boundary agreement with the Village of Lisle. We would like the opportunity to discuss this issue further with the Village of Lisle, and when it's ready for consideration and presentation, we'll put it on an upcoming first reading.
Okay, see, we're catching up for lost time now.
So now we just have 3 items on tonight's first reading.
And as is customary, the village manager will present these, so please, Mr. Fieldman.
So we'll start with a really good news item, item F, a resolution authorizing an agreement for the purchase of services for the provision of bus service. This is the long-awaited agreement with PACE. Under this agreement, PACE and revenues from fare boxes, or the people who ride the Downers Grove commuter shuttle, would cover all costs of operating this system. So this is many years in the making. This is pursuant to our long-range financial plan, and this agreement, when executed, brings long-term financial sustainability to the bus system. We are very pleased to present this item, and Nan or I would answer any questions that the council may have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments from members of the audience? Commissioner Neustadt.
Thank you, Mayor. Dave said it pretty well. This is a good news item. And as Mr. LaCrenne spoke of earlier, this is part of our long-range financial plan that has finally come to its endpoint, but it's really not the endpoint of the system, it's the endpoint of our financial burden with the buses. I think having a localized bus system in our own village is a great way to transport our residents to and from the train. And I just want to say a special thanks to really, I think, almost every department, from the legal department, HR, risk management, village manager's office, clerk, public works. Pretty much everybody had a little bit something to do with this agreement and getting us to this point today. And I can't forget the finance office as well. I almost did. But this is a great success for us, and it's a big part of what we've been doing and trying to do with our sustainable and long-reaching, long-range financial plan. We identified a need, we identified a problem, and we have now solved it. And I think that's a great testament to this council, councils before, and to our staff. So I will be in 100% support of this as we move forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Well said, Commissioner. Thank you. Commissioner Schnell.
I just want to point out to residents who may be listening to this, is it actually brings closure to the question that's gone on since the 80s about whether or not we will have a bus system this year or maybe not next year, and et cetera, et cetera. This allows us to continue the bus system with no cost to the village. Kudos to staff, to several council members who brought this up. It's a win-win for everybody, particularly for the residents who depend on this because they may not have 2 cars, they may not have a car at all, and they need this to get to the train station to get to work. So it's a great thing. Kudos to everyone who worked so hard on this for so very long, because it seems like this has been forever in coming. But it finally, I think, is here, we hope. So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rankin?
Excuse me, I'd just like to echo my fellow commissioners' comments. I would just like to know, how many years has this been in the works?
The discussion of financial sustainability in the bus system has been in the work for 20 or 30 years,
Yeah.
I believe. This particular issue was brought forward when Nan joined our team a couple of years ago, 2009, 2010, in that range. And it's been the topic of, I think, all 3 versions of the long-range financial plan since Nan arrived. So she really championed this cause, came up with a great innovative idea, and tonight, bringing it across the finish line.
Great, thanks for your hard work and persistence. Good job.
Commissioner Durkin.
Thank you, Mayor. As many know, I've been extremely critical of the buses in our village, and I just want to compliment all those that were involved with getting this this deal to the table. Just a couple of recap items I just want to bring up. Under this agreement, PACE grant contributions and fare box revenue from the riders will pay for the cost of operating the Grove commuter shuttle. So anyone who's riding this, along with PACE, will be paying for this. The other item is that this agreement, PACE covers all the costs, bringing this a long-term financial sustainability to the system, including personnel costs. So there really is no additional cost to this village anymore. The only cost that we have to still deal with is the deficit that is in this account. And through the long-range financial plan that we had discussed and planned, and some voted on or didn't vote on, whatever confusion we had with that, but all of us agreed to was that the plan calls for the retirement of accumulated fund deficit by pledging incremental general fund interest income above a threshold of $100,000 to be paid towards the deficit itself. So again, we're utilizing interest income to offset the deficit without utilizing tax dollars or any other dollars that this village obtains to offset this deficit. So I think this is a huge win-win. I know it was a battle the last time I ran for office, and to be able to bring this forward and you know, continue staying on top of this and asking staff to continue fighting for this and interacting with PACE themselves to bring this to the table is a definite win. So I'm extremely happy for this, and hopefully one day we'll be able to have a coffee with the council on one of these buses, so everybody will be able to participate in the buses and get an idea of their usefulness. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Did I miss anyone? I'll just also add my appreciation to not only staff but everybody who made this possible, because I vividly remember, about, my goodness, 7, 8 years ago, a group of determined and perhaps somewhat delusional elected officials and residents who got together and formed something called the Local Transportation Subcommittee to try to solve what appeared to be two impossibly daunting challenges. Number one, what to do about obsolete, failing bus equipment and no money to replace them. And the second was how to deal with the issue of a growing deficit, increasing operating costs, and revenue that didn't keep up with it. It seemed like a lost cause and one that was doomed to fail. But just to show you that perseverance, innovation, and a lot of hard work and creativity and a lot of different people trying to think outside of the box and collaborating with other organizations and entities, you can overcome sometimes what seems to be impossible, because this is now the second part of that seemingly impossible equation. The first part was the equipment challenge, which of course that was solved a few years ago, and this is the second one, is finally solving the operating costs and the deficit challenge. And just congratulations all around to everyone who was involved in that, because I think if you had said to anyone 8 years ago that we would be considering this tonight, they probably would have chuckled.
I do have a point of clarification. Is this what we've always called or referred to as the Highland Park? Okay, so this is the Highland Park.
And after tonight, it's the Downers Grove model.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Good man. There's that branding in action.
Yeah, exactly.
I do want to add one more to the thank you list, and that's PACE itself. Thank you to the PACE staff, the PACE Board of Directors that made this possible for stepping up and helping a local community like Downers Grove address the transportation issue.
Yes, because it takes two to tango, and without their equal dedication to this task, we wouldn't be talking about it tonight. So I agree. Congratulations and appreciation to PACE as well.
Can I add one more, Mayor? There's two more, actually.
It's workshop. Go for it.
The dedicated riders who have weathered, as Commissioner Schnell, the storm, and the users of the system, and of course, the bus drivers, who have, many of them have been here for a long time. I think one of them is here tonight in the audience.
Mr. Waxman out in the audience?
I think it's also important to note that this doesn't mean that we still don't want more ridership. You know, as the weather gets better, people do walk to the train a little bit further, but those buses are very, very, very convenient for folks that are around those routes. So please jump on board and get some information. Information can be found at our website about the bus routes and their service to our village.
Well, I suspect it'll be the gas prices more than $5 a gallon that will drive into the bus more than the weather, but you're right.
I hate to even
do
this.
It's workshop.
I know, but this has been a really long workshop. The contract that we're going to be signing does not preclude us from doing advertising, and again, in line with, you know, $4 plus gas right now. You know, if we could somehow, again, put out what the bus is, what the schedule is. I think, you know, it's been a while since gas has been this high, and usually when gas goes up, ridership goes up. So as long as it doesn't preclude us from doing that, I think it would be a really good thing to start selling the fact that the bus is out there and how convenient it is, et cetera, et cetera.
It not only does it not preclude us, we're actually encouraged to make sure that ridership stays up. So we will continue to do what we've done, and we have the opportunity to enhance marketing efforts too as well.
Well, and I think, excuse me, the fact that people now know the bus is around forever, because I know when we had some of the problems as to would it be here next year or whatever.
Oh, forever.
Well, yeah, all that too. But, you know, during the 2000s, when it was up and down and all around, we lost a lot of ridership because of the uncertainty of it. Now the uncertainty is gone, so we can start putting that in the literature too, is it's here to stay, you know, give it a try type thing.
Will do.
Okay, thanks.
And I know thank you. I know we're past the designated point for public comment, but I suspect Mr. Waxman would like to say something, so I'm going to exercise prerogative, and please, good evening, welcome, and give us your name and address, and love to hear from you.
Jeff Waxman, 5503 East Lake Drive, Lyle, Illinois. also a proud employee of the Village of Downers Grove. I've been here with the village for 13 years. And I want to thank council for their support and also management here for taking all the efforts in a way to sustain our bus system. As we know, it's hard economic times and it's hard to get additional funding, you know, given, I also work for IDOT in public trans. And it's just a really great system, and I'm happy that we got to this point right now where we're going to have a sustainable bus system. Just a side note, it's kind of interesting now when I go to different places in the village, it's like I'm recognized all over the place. Or it's like when I'm taking the train downtown, they're like, after I get off the bus, it's like, what are you doing here?
Right. Transportation celebrity.
Yes, it's like I'm now going to my regular job. But it's kind of also interesting. This system here reminds me of where I grew up. I grew up in Glenview on the east side, and we had a system called Wilmette Wilbus, which is a personalized system like the Village of Downers Grove. And, you know, drivers, it was just a part-time job for drivers, but a unique staff. As a matter of fact, I also worked for the people that developed the Wilmette Wilbus and the Highland Park system. So it goes way back. I just want to thank everybody for all their efforts in bringing a sustainable bus system, and I look forward to many more years serving the citizens of Downers Grove.
Well, thank you for your comments and thank you for your service. Appreciate them. Any other comments or questions? Commissioner Waldeck.
I'm real happy to see this, and right now I am doing a mental Irish jig because it's been a decade and a half with this.
You're a little early for that, aren't you? You gotta wait till March 17th?
Hey, we could start now. But anyway, I wasn't going to say anything until next time because I want to see this over the approval line before jumping for joy. But it has been a decade and a half, and thanks staff for the great job they did and Pace. And I'll make additional comments next week regarding that. Thank you.
All right, we'll look forward to those. Thank you. Next item, please.
The next two items will be presented by our Public Works Director, Nan Newland. The first is an ordinance amending certain parking provisions in the downtown pursuant to our downtown parking study. Director Newland.
Good evening. On January 3rd of this year, Council accepted the downtown parking study, which included recommendations to address study findings related to the mix, number, and location of parking in the downtown, to the fees and permits, the need for additional parking, as well as enforcement issues. And these recommendations will be implemented over time in phases based upon their benefits to the system as well as the impacts that they're going to have to stakeholders and the interaction and communication we'll have with those stakeholders. The two items tonight are the first study recommendations being brought forward for consideration. The first of the two items being considered is the change and free parking in downtown commuter lots from the current time of noon to 11 a.m. Two of the downtown parking study findings were that over 95, almost 100% of all commuters were parked by about 8:30 in the morning. It also found that the peak parking time in the downtown is roughly 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Monday through Friday, which is people going to lunch and running errands, and that's when the system is most under stress and need for parking. By moving the parking time up from noon to 11 a.m. allows people to free up those few remaining commuter parking spaces in those lots and allows people to take up those spaces as free shopper parking. This action will free up those additional spaces and allow us to help address that peak parking time. It'll also provide, with that gap between commuters parking and the 11 a.m. time, the police department a chance to complete their enforcement activities from the commuter parking period. This is one of the short-term parking revisions that's contained in the parking recommendations. The second item tonight is a change to the number of accessible parking spaces in the downtown lots, and this is to address the shortage that was found when we inventoried the spaces that we currently have between what's required by the Americans with Disability Act and what we currently have in these lots. And what we are proposing tonight is a net increase in the overall number of accessible spaces in the lots to by 11 throughout a variety of lots. This, what's required by ADA is determined on an individual lot basis, and it's based on the number of parking spaces within that lot. Just to clarify, and I know we provided this information to council, we did field verify the use of those accessible spaces and found that they were used an average about 50% of the time during the period that we looked at them. These items were reviewed by the Transportation and Parking Commission at their February meeting and were unanimously recommended for approval and consideration by council. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you'd have.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on this item from any members of the audience? Good evening.
Good evening again, Mayor Tully, commissioners, staff. I'm Gordon Goodman, 5834 Midaw, and I just wanted to congratulate the village on taking these steps. I think particularly the freeing up of commuter parking for general parking use after 11 o'clock in the morning will be very helpful to the residents and the central business area, and I'm glad to see it come forward. I look forward to the future phases of these steps to improve the use of our available parking in the village. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other questions or comments on this item from the audience? Questions or comments from any members of the council? Commissioner Rankin?
Man, so, excuse me, sorry. Despite the fact that the amount of handicap spaces that we currently have are 50% occupied, there's no flexibility with the ADA requirement, is that correct?
That's correct. That's a minimum, what the ADA requires. So for every, I think it's 25 spaces, there needs to be one accessible space. And then there are categories, and when it goes up to 50, then you need two. There's no study you can do to say we can use less. It's just that's the minimum amount.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments from the council?
Last item on tonight's first reading agenda is the annual purchase of replacement vehicles and equipment, and Director Newland will present this item as well.
Thank you. The adopted fiscal year 2012 budget includes $528,000 in the equipment replacement fund for the purchase of these 11 replacement vehicles and equipment. The recommended purchase is $503,996.95, as well as a $4,000 rebate that we will receive from the IEPA from their alternative fuel rebate program. In 2012, in the budget, we included the potential replacement of 15 vehicles and pieces of equipment based upon our general replacement criteria. We use that as a budgetary step and for planning purposes, but each year the village's fleet team, which consists of the village manager's office, finance department, public works, police, and fire, all evaluate each piece of equipment and vehicle in detail to look at all of our replacement criteria, in addition to looking at all the resources we have spent in maintenance and repairs. So we take a comprehensive look at each piece of equipment, how it's used, and its life cycle, and in some cases we're able to extend that. So I'm just saying that we plan for 15, but based on our more detailed evaluation, at this time we're recommending the replacement of 11. They are all targeted for replacement based on our useful life replacement criteria like I described, and we are recommending that these vehicles be replaced. The purchase of 10 of these replacement vehicles will be made, or is proposed to be made, through existing cooperative purchasing contracts in accordance with the village's purchasing policy. For the remaining 11th vehicle, a call for bids was issued and published in February 2011 for the 5-ton compressed natural gas snowplow truck in accordance with the village's purchasing policy. This is, we made this replacement of the vehicle in 2011, and the successful bidder, which was Trans Chicago Truck Company, agreed to extend that price at the same price to us in fiscal year 2012. So we are recommending a purchase of the second replacement 5-ton CNG snowplow under this contract. Staff recommends purchase of these 11 replacement vehicles, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you again. Any questions or comments on this purchase from any members of the audience? Questions or comments, any members of the council with respect to this item?
That ends our first reading, Mayor. Thank you.
Yes, it does. And that brings us to next item on our agenda, which is item number 9, Mayor's Report. And I've got a couple things in the interest of time that I'll try to be brief on. Number 1, continuing update, as we do every meeting with respect to our efforts to work with ComEd to enhance reliability of electrical service in the Village of Downers Grove. Mind you, again, this has nothing to do with municipal electrical aggregation. This has to do with the actual reliability and distribution of the service. In reaction to dissatisfaction with customer service and communication during the summer of 2011, we all remember the storms of last summer, ComEd has created an I almost made a Freudian slip there. I wanted to call it an outrage alert system instead of an outage alert system, through which customers can use their cell phones to receive outage restoration information and to report outages to ComEd. The village website, our website, will have additional information on this, as well as a link to the ComEd website so that residents don't have to hunt for it. They can find it on our website and then go there to sign up for this program if they desire to be part of the outage alert system that ComEd is putting up. In addition, ComEd has notified the village that it will begin the first of 2 remaining equipment upgrade projects that were identified in the village's town hall meeting with ComEd in September of last year. The project consists of the installation of a tree-resistant overhead cable in the area south and west of 55th Street and Middaugh. Work on this project will begin this month. No indication as to when it will be completed, but we'll keep you posted. Finally, the village is asking our residents whose properties have been affected or are being affected by the enhanced tree trimming that's been going on for the last several months, asking them for feedback on the customer service that was provided by ComEd in performing that tree trimming. If your property is adjacent to the areas where trees were pruned or removed, please check your mailbox in the coming week for directions on how to participate in an online survey. Interesting that people need to get mail in order to participate in an online survey, but I guess
we have some limitations in our current system.
I guess that's the way it works. We'll get there. That's the comment update. The other update I wanted to give was with respect to the DuPage County Stormwater Management Planning Committee, which met this morning, and actually saw one of our residents there speaking about the Walgreens proposal. 2 important things that came out of that. Number 1, want to update everyone on what the current status is with respect to the new county stormwater ordinance that has been under discussion for nearly 2.5 years. The original timeline was 1 year. It's been under discussion now for nearly 2.5 years, but is coming to a conclusion, I believe. It was before the committee this morning on a first reading, and all the comments were positive. I didn't hear any indications that it would not receive support eventually when it's voted on by the Stormwater Management Committee. And there was actually much appreciation that was expressed by representatives from municipalities, from different organizations that have an interest in terms of how the county worked with them and county staff worked with them to incorporate a lot of the issues and concerns. There are still some things that some folks would like to be tweaked going forward, but I didn't get the sense that it was anything that would hold up passage of the ordinance. And I know that our view has been for some time now that this would be a greatly improved document in terms of stormwater management and managing expectations. And while there may still be things to be tweaked going forward, we are looking forward to its passage so we can start operating under the ordinance. The current schedule is the schedule that we still anticipate will actually be met. As I mentioned, the ordinance was before the County Stormwater Management Planning Committee for first reading today. It will be before them for a second reading on April 3rd. It will be before that committee for a vote on April 10th, and then it will go to the county board. And it is expected that it will be hopefully adopted in April and put into effect by the end of April. And I think there's lots of folks who are looking forward to that happening. One other little thing to add to that, we heard previously that District 99 was a little concerned with the progress of the adoption of that ordinance because of their project in expanding the Downers Grove North High campus. And I understand that things should work out such that they will not be hindered in a way that will cost them 6 figures. But that will go forward. There was actually a request that was on the agenda this morning to not object to any variance request that might be made by District 99. There isn't one pending, but if one is to be made, there would be no objection from the DuPage County Stormwater Management Planning Committee. So I was pleased to see that there seems to be support both within Downers Grove and in the county to not unduly impact District 99 and their taxpayers. with respect to the cost of that project. So that's my report with respect to ComEd and also with respect to the DuPage County Stormwater Ordinance. If anyone has any questions with respect to that, I'd be glad to answer them, but I understand that it's close to 9. So I'll be happy to talk with anyone later on if they'd like. That's all the items I had on my report. Which then brings us to item 10 on our agenda, Manager's Report. Mr. Fieldman.
Speaking of stormwater issues, the final stormwater utility report and recommendations from our consultant has been posted on the village website. It's a good read with a nice executive summary in the front. Please take a look at that if you're interested. We will be discussing it along with a staff recommendation next week, a week from tonight. And then we're looking for council direction in April, first part of April. So please take a look at that item. That ends our report.
Thank you. Item 11, Attorney's Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Only one item tonight to present, and that's an ordinance amending parking restrictions.
Thank you very much. Brings us item 12, Councilmember Reports and New Business. Commissioner Neustadt.
No report tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Rankin.
I would like to make a few comments in regards to the ECC appointment. Each of the 7 members of your council have different viewpoints, opinions, and perspectives. We were elected by the residents to make decisions that are in their best interest. All 7 of us are entitled to our vote and should vote our conscience. Just like any issue or vote before us, there are residents that feel strongly on both sides of an issue. I won't apologize for my vote or for expressing my opinion. I will say that if we had a do-over, I think most of us would have done things differently. I'm hopeful that we've all learned from this and will work on preventing this type of situation in the future. The other things I wanted to mention was the Grove Foundation held their Passport to Fine Dining event on March 1st. I want to thank everyone that came out. Over 190 people attended the event. That's the most that we've had participating in a number of years. It was a great evening. So thanks for everyone that participated. And lastly, my son's Cub Scout troop will be hosting a pancake breakfast. That's PAC 86 at Rose Lodge from 8 to 11 on St. Patrick's Day. Tickets are $4 for advanced tickets or $5 at the door. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Waldeck.
Thank you, Mayor. There was an item on the agenda tonight about our commuter bus system, and I bring it up now because it was a decade and a half ago about that Commissioner Schnell interviewed me for a position on an ad hoc transportation committee, and I chaired a alternative transportation committee that combined with Mr. Christopher Dunn, who chaired the bus system, looking at the transportation committee, and we put out a report. And I want to let you know that as a member, that was my introduction to village government, and it was a very positive experience. And I bring it up now because it started me on a career meeting a lot of truly great people. One of them being a gentleman who recently passed away within the last couple weeks. His name is John Kikta. He was very heavily involved in our school system, but I met him on that alternative transportation committee. A real gentleman. Proud to work with him on that system and on that committee. And we saw a lot of them after that. Just a true resident citizen, and my condolences to his family. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Barnett.
Thank you, Mayor. I was trying to collect my thoughts a little bit on that ECC issue too, so I just got a couple of words I'm going to say. There are a lot of initiatives that come before this group, and some succeed and some fail. Some are unanimous, actually, a huge portion of them, but many are not. And you mentioned that earlier, Mayor, when you said that, not for anybody to interpret silence by this group as any kind of particular commentary. So I say this at the risk of silence being interpreted as somehow consent, because there was a lot said from that podium tonight. And I think that any of those comments about the motivation of this group, now I can only speak for myself. I wouldn't presume to speak for my colleagues, but those comments that suggested that there was some sort of a connection to local political issues, at least from this council, are just baseless. They're baseless assumptions, completely without merit. And I've expressed some of my opinions on it, and I'm sure to some those are, inaccurate or not right. There's people that would disagree with it, and that's fine. That's the nature of a deliberative body. It's one of the reasons there's 7, not an even number of people, because there will be disagreement. But the assumptions made without merit and without base about the motivations of this group are just not fair. They're not fair for this. They're not fair for Walgreens when somebody says it's all about money. They're not fair for any issue. I remember years ago, to Commissioner Durkin's point, when people were making the similar kinds of comments from the podium about you guys just want to can this bus system. The fact is, that's not true either. There's an awful lot of deliberation that goes into every decision that this council makes. Some of them are positive and some of them are well thought of, others not so much. But the assumptions cast out about motivation are just not fair, and at least from where I sit, they're inaccurate. That's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Durkin.
I have no report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Schnell.
I have nothing.
Thank you. Just 2 things. One, lest anyone think that we are not a village and a public body that fully embraces the concept of public input and public comment. Just for the record, I believe our meeting lasted 40 minutes and the public comment section of tonight's meeting lasted 120 minutes. So lest anyone think that we don't embrace public comment and let people speak, that's something I think we can all be proud of. The other thing I'd like to point out is that, of course, with the weather improving as it is, at least in temperature, although I don't know about the wind so much, one starts to think of summer. And of course, you have to remind yourself that there are, in fact, only 106 days left until the Rotary Grub Fest of 2012. And I think we can all start looking forward to that now as well. And with that, I have nothing further, so I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schnell?
Aye.
Commissioner Durkin?
Aye.
Commissioner Rankin? Aye. Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Commissioner Neustadt?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Mayor Howard?
Aye. Thank you and good night.
No, not at all. Why?